Welcome back to GBGuns Armory, a series in which we're looking back at guns that are already fully reviewed. So if you're just discovering this channel or this video, this is not the review part. This is the aftermath, collecting your opinions and me giving a little more thoughts and feels. If you want specs, if you want performance, if you want things like that, check the pinned comment. Full review over at gbgunsdepot.com. We'll also get you to the videos on the main channel. So this one is the Tisas Night Stalker. Did it not too long ago. I got one in 45 because that's what I could get my hands on at the time. Plus, every once in a while, you just have to have a 5-inch 45. Tri-top slide with the lightning cuts. We got a nice set of night sights, blacked out rear and orange front. Looks pretty darn good. Ambi safety that works. Some slick, but there were a lot of opinions in the comments on these grip panels. I think they look great, and I support and grip a gun fighting the forces that it does, which is try to come to the rear and try to go forward. The gun doesn't try to expand on me. I don't know, you guys might be different, but for me, the side panel grip is not really that important. It's not so much part of how I build a grip of the gun. So if these are slick, it doesn't necessarily impact my performance. It does, however, make them more comfortable to carry. Continuing on, we've got some nice stylish checkering on the mainspring housing. I get the camera to focus for you guys, and the same style on the front strap. Again, more details will be in the pinned comment if you want to see better pictures. And then we do have a little bit of a magazine well on there that just kind of nicely squares out the bottom of the gun for a pretty sharp looking pistol. And it's railed, of course. This thing excited me because when I first got into 1911s and first got into shooting, to get any one of these features on a 1911, you were looking at having a custom build. You needed to have a donor gun already and donor parts, and then take it to a smith who was going to spend a long time and charge you a lot of money to tri-top the slide, to put speed holes in it, to give you this texturing on the front strap and on the mainspring housing. All of that was really exotic stuff. And in the last couple of years, companies like Tisas have brought us these cool features that 10 years ago or so were the ultra custom, high-end only type things. Now, does that mean that this gun replaces or rivals a hand custom gun? No, not out of the box. The action on it has smoothed out with time. Still a little bit of hang up in that classic spot where you always get about right there. That could use some work or more rounds fired. The build quality, the trigger itself is not magical, but I'm pretty confident that a lot of that has to do with the mainspring or the hammer spring on there, because it is a difficult gun to rack. It requires quite a bit more force than normal, and for a 5-incher I find that a little bit shocking. It might also be that we've got non-serrated front of the slide. The serrations are just broad in the rear. Now that looks sharp, but after a decade or two of this being the cool thing to do and the habit, that's where I go to rack a gun or to press check and take a look, like to reach underneath. I can do it, but it takes a little more force because of that Cerakote and the lack of serrations up there. But I'm wandering off again. Point being, this gun looks super cool, and it's got all of the big bone major components that you would normally have to pay a whole lot of money to get custom work done to already done. It's the finer stuff that makes the difference, and part of why a Tisas is so affordable and not at the custom gun level. I mean, got some rattle there. Of course, it's the barrel lockup that's more important than the slide frame rattle, but still, it's pretty loose for a gun that doesn't have a whole lot of rounds on it, especially for one that is so difficult to rack. The action you'd think would be smoother with that much play in it. But much like the Bantam, I think these have a place if you want to tinker, especially if you want to learn about playing with 1911s. I've done it a couple times but years ago, and obviously handled hundreds of guns since, so I could start and try on my own, but there's plenty of videos and guides out there to show you. But you can buy trigger kits, and you can buy action tune-up kits, and you can play with different recoil assemblies and things like that, and you can make these guns smoother, learn something, make it the way you want it, and still be spending less money than a high-end custom. Now, is anyone going to ooh and ah and wow, like, dude, you've got a Tisas? No, probably not. But if they shoot it after you've tuned it up and they're like, holy crap, that's a Tisas? And you say, yeah, I'm in that whole thing for less than $1,000. And I got to learn some things. I think that's cool. So in that way, it's kind of like getting a Glock. You know, it's going to run, everything's fine. You're probably not going to enjoy shooting it too much, but you can tinker with it. If you're not going to ruin a valuable Glock, you know, there's replacement parts are everywhere. Easy to do things like that. Same thing with the 1911. So I think this is a fun starting point. I wish I had grabbed one in 9mm, but at the time they were unavailable and people wanted to see some. And also, I may recall, it might have been the patrons actually wanted it in 45. Purchases are funded by the patrons, and so I let them choose what it is. But I think that's how I ended up with the big boy. Still a fun gun. I'm curious if you guys have a fun, fancy-looking 1911 type piece that you just enjoy playing with. It's just a nice gun for the range. It's not anything magical, not going to win any competitions. Heck, probably doesn't shoot as smooth as common carry guns, but it's still kind of a sexy beast. I wish I had the full line of Night Stalkers just because I enjoy this gray-black color combo. I think it's pretty sharp looking. Let me know what your thoughts are, and we'll see you tomorrow.